Fuck. Oh, hey! Welcome, America. It's the Eric and Rodney Show with Robin. Presented by Offensively Creative and Dinsmore Steel. I'm America's sweetheart, Eric Ryan. I own Offensively Creative. We have Rod. He's the PEO god, and he owns Dinsmore Steel. We have the thriller from Manila, Robin Valdez. And ladies and gentlemen, very special guest today from my home state, actually. Well, not from, but he lives here now, right? We'll get that right. Anyway, Antone Wilson, co-founder of HyperSpeed Health Technologies.
Welcome, Antone.
Listen, we are the biggest show on the internet from 10 to 11 Eastern Standard Time on LinkedIn Live. So seen us or not, but usually what we do is we cover the news for the first half hour, try to make that funny, and then we talk about you. So here we are. That's it. This is the whole show. You're going to love it. It's going to be great. Antone, the other thing we do is, I don't know if you know this about the United States, but every day we celebrate something goofy, something new. Every day is a reason to party here in the U.S., every single day. So today, it was slim pickings. So this was the best out of a sad bunch. But it is National Actors Day. This is the day.
That's appropriate. That is appropriate.
Well, we often talk about actors on this show, and I don't know why, but I feel like we keep going back to three very specific actors that I want to talk about real quick. I feel like we do a lot of Val Kilmer, particularly in Tombstone. I think we talk about Brad Pitt, particularly in Fight Club. And although he's not American, I would say that Sacha Baron Cohen is an American treasure.
A national
treasure. A global treasure.
Yeah.
Antone, very nice. Antone, Robin, do you guys have actors that speak to your soul in any particular way?
I would say the Brad Pitt Fight Club character. I would say that's like the gold standard of the body type that I shoot for. And he's just like an archetype of a character that I want to embody when I'm not running hyperspeed on the weekend.
Wow, that is lofty. My ideal body type is Jack Black. You ever seen that? Like just fucking happy. That's what I'm going after. Robin, anybody speak to your soul? Who's the most famous Filipino actor?
It's got to be. Oh, that I don't know, but my favorite actor's got to be Henry Cavill. In the Philippines, they call me
Superman. Superman, right?
Wow.
Superman, yeah.
I've never heard. Why? The Witcher? Did you watch that? He was in that too, right? I didn't see.
Oh, yeah.
Wow,
You know, the funny thing about him, I'll say, is that he's the first person ever to play Superman that looked like Superman.
No, he was a good Superman.
Like they came to him and he was in the gym lifting 400 pounds and he turned around and said, "Guys, what's going on? Can you be Superman? I am Superman."
I know he's jacked out of his mind, but he got kicked off. He's not Superman anymore in the new DCU.
Fortunately.
Hey, I don't mean to go off subject, but
Yeah.
has anyone ever told you, Robin, that you look like Eric Spoelstra?
That's a first.
Really? Okay.
Who
I
is
have
Eric?
to
Who is
search.
this?
He's the head coach of the Miami Heat.
Oh shit!
Yeah. Oh my God, you're right. He does. Oh
Okay,
my
hold
God.
You got to talk amongst yourselves. I'm going to pull up a
And
picture.
speaking of, just since we're on the topic, a lot of people think of me as the LeBron James of pickleball. So that makes I see where you're going with it.
We're very
I just see
we're
it
very
now.
basketball focused. On
Well, it's
this.
like LeBron James, Michael Jordan, really any good player over the last 50 years that I've been compared to in pickleball.
Often.
In my mind, not by other people. But
Robin, I know you don't know who Eric Spoelstra is, but he's largely considered to be one of the best, if not the best coach in the NBA right now. So not bad.
which is definitely not Robin.
He started off as an intern, worked his way up. Good story. Good sports story.
Oh, that sounds like me.
Yeah,
that's true.
he used to be in the production thing. He'd like break down game film, and now he's the coach of the Heat. So
3 years ago, Robin was painting our toenails. Now here he is. See what I mean?
That's an American story if I ever heard one.
We'll do it.
yeah, unfortunately, he lives in the Philippines, but it's close.
Maybe it was his toenails, but whatever.
Maybe
I don't
next
want to
year.
get off on a tangent here.
Did I download Eric Spoelstra? Did I fuck this up? Oh man.
So let me take over here for a second. So Actors Day, are we still on strike? Are they still on? The writers are now they're both on strike, right?
Yeah. Unfortunately, we have no acting and no writing.
Apparently, they haven't heard of ChatGPT and animation.
Right.
Oddly enough, puppet shows.
Yeah, but somebody needs to write that shit. All right, here we have Eric Spoelstra and his hot wife. Oh, hold on. Yeah, Roddy's the pickleball king. Yes,
That's
yes.
right.
He's
That's
the
right.
greatest pickleball player of all time. There we go. Eric
There
Spoelstra.
he is.
Hey, I kind of see it. Is he Filipino?
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
Which
that
is
makes
perfect.
sense.
He's the coach of the Miami Heat. So
Yeah, no shit.
I think Robin. I think Eric picked the worst picture.
Yeah, well,
There
I
are
wanted
better
to get
pictures. He looks like he's 15 years old here.
he does,
He's
but I
like-
wanted to get his. That must be his wife. She's very attractive.
I
So
thought it
Rob-
was his sister.
Not bad. Is Spolstra a traditionally Filipino last name? Do you have a lot of Spolstras over there?
No, it sounds more Hispanic. So I don't.
Okay.
Maybe not.
You should do a 23andMe and see if you two are related. Get some of that Miami Heat money.
Good.
All right, so listen, we got to get to Antone. So, we need to blast through this news. What do we have in the news today, Robin?
A lot of stuff.
Uh,
A lot of big
Yeah,
news.
the first one's no surprise. Almost all big shows are run with a lot of stress. You can kind of see that. So we have many hosts and production directors, and they're being accused of creating a toxic work environment.
Don't we know it?
So
Like
well,
here.
I just know now when we go famous one day, that just means that you guys are gonna beat me up after the show. I'm
Mhm.
prepared.
We're could be you.
Yeah,
It could
it's-
be you that's the asshole. Listen, we don't know. We're very early
Yeah.
on in our
Yeah,
journey.
it was early stages.
Who is it?
Jimmy Fallon.
Jimmy
What a
Fallon treating people like absolute dog shit. Did you
Jimmy
read-
Fallon?
Jimmy Fallon's making people cry. There's rooms where his employees
Well,
go.
can I tell you a secret real quick? Quick story. No, I'm not going for tangent. I used to work in one of the buildings over there, and I was getting myself a Jamba Juice, the peanut butter smoothie, double protein.
Yeah.
And you're not going to believe who stepped on my foot one day and did not say, "I'm sorry, sir." And I
Is it-
thought it was a child. I said, "A
Jimmy
child is
Fallon?
bumped against me." It was
Oh
Jimmy
my-
Fallon. And I said, "Where? Oh my God, Jimmy Fallon."
Wow. He's a tiny
I
little
almost stepped
fish.
on him. He's very small.
I'm sure he is, but here's my bigger issue about late night TV. First of all, I don't know anyone who watches it. Second of all, like, look at this lineup of horribly unfunny people. Like, what is happening?
That was a good one. I don't know anyone who watches it. I don't either. Who are these people?
Who gave them the platform? Like, why these guys?
Well, yeah. So Seth Meyers, like, wasn't even the star of his SNL cast. Fucking Jimmy Kimmel is not funny. Neither's Jimmy Fallon. This doughy fuck. I think he's gone. Stephen Colbert, I'll give it to. Like, the Colbert Report was great, but he's not had that character anymore. Like, they
Yeah,
took
the
what
other
was
thing is
great about him.
Yeah.
And then
exactly.
we're like, you can't do that anymore. Just be yourself. Unfortunately, it's not that good.
Yeah.
It's,
Jimmy
it's-
Fallon, I will say, he went through a tremendous weight loss transformation. Remember when he was bigger?
oh, Jimmy
Looks
Kimmel.
much better now. Or Jimmy Kimmel, I mean, sorry, yeah.
Remember when he was on the Man Show?
Yes.
He was a big doughy fuck.
He was very sensitive on that show.
I always
Very
look at
sensitive.
Jimmy Fallon as like a poor man's Jimmy Kimmel.
I look at all five of these as poor man David Letterman. You know, I mean, it's an awful, awful thing. So I tried to find, I think the 90s had a pretty good late night lineup. I didn't see, there was no real picture of them, but we used to have Arsenio and Letterman, who I loved. They were like edgy and the shows were entertaining and funny. Jay Leno fucking sucked, but Johnny
Yeah, he
Carson,
was terrible. He was a pretty good comedian, but he was terrible. You know who was amazing, though, that I don't see anywhere on any of these, just refreshing everyone's memory? Was a gentleman by the name of Conan. Perhaps you've heard of him.
Conan O'Brien. Yes, I was gonna say the same.
He had some pretty good jokes. I'm not going to lie to you.
the masturbating bear, Triumph the Inside Comic Dog.
Yeah,
Triumph
that
the Inside Comic Dog is fucking hilarious. But these people, fuck them. And this is like, this is what pisses me off about Jimmy Fallon too. Oh, okay. Well, wait a second. Jimmy Fallon, James Corden, Stephen Colbert are not hilarious.
James Corden,
Well, we can all
really?
agree that Seth Meyers isn't because no one's taking up for
Yeah,
him.
no one even mentioned him. No one gives a fuck about Seth Meyers. But think about what the crime Jimmy Kimmel is committing. Like, people are making it in show business. They finally get to work on the Tonight Show, and then he treats them like shit. That's so sad. You know what I mean? Like, these kids, he's not doing it to other A-list stars. As a matter of fact, in the article, it said one time Jerry Seinfeld had to yell at him to apologize to one of the cue card people. So he's not pulling this tough guy act with, A-list stars or even B-list stars, C-list stars. He's just treating the help like shit. And that's a mark of a bad, bad person. Fuck Jimmy
I
Fallon.
can tell you the truth. I've always been a fan. I've never had any help, but I've had a lot of help, but I just couldn't imagine being famous and being mean to people. Like, what the world's the problem? You know what I mean? I wanted to be like, I met Rod Steele, and he is a genius, a
gem.
wonderful pickleball player and a gentleman, a man of the world.
Yeah. What were you going to say, Anton?
I was gonna say, I feel like in the world of Hollywood, it's like it's not a problem until it's a problem.
Right.
And so who's to say that he hasn't been like this for years and now
Absolutely.
he's pissed off a producer or
Yeah.
didn't comply with where they wanted to go with the show, and they're like, all right, Jimmy, well, we'll show you now. Let's tarnish your public image. I feel like that's always the case.
Oh,
It's a
totally.
hit piece.
Yeah, I just don't understand it because if you're famous, you have access to all the best drugs, all the best women, all the best booze, all the best food. You never have to worry about money, right? You can have as many houses as you want and you're still an asshole. Like, what kind of savage fucking animal has the best of everything at their disposal and then treats people like shit? Right? Wouldn't that make you happy? What makes you happy, Jimmy? You unfunny
Here's
fuck.
what I don't understand. As much money as Jimmy Fallon has, and you raise an excellent point, can't he have the best cue card guy there is or person? I would have. They would be like, we flew him in. His hands are so fast with the cue cards. It's not even funny.
Yeah, exactly.
That's your hiring issue, Jimmy.
Yeah, it's your fault, Jimmy. You stupid idiot. Here's
Anton,
what's even
you have
worse.
a fan.
Yep, she's. Although I don't know if we can trust her judgment because she said Fallon
Well,
Corden.
that's-
Well,
yeah.
listen, I'll give you James
Yeah.
Corden.
So we're 50-50 on her.
Right. So she's but still, if you bat 500, you're a Hall of Famer.
That's
So
right.
I answered my own question by like who watches this shit. So the late night ratings are gonna blow your fucking mind. You know who's number one with the goddamn bullet?
James Corden.
No, it's exponentially worse. The dude, the unfunny fuck Gutfeld on Fox News. Do you know this guy?
I've skimmed through him.
Yeah. I thought he'd replaced Conan.
You know what it is though? The Fox audience, they're gonna watch Fox no matter what.
Yes, exactly. So
He's
they
got
just
a
happen to
loyal
be watching
fan,
Fox.
like 45 plus
Yep.
conservatives. So I think it's more so a demographic thing than it is his deal.
You're absolutely right,
That's
but he's doubling the next guy, the second place guy. So he gets about 3 million viewers a night. In second place is Colbert. In third place is Fallon. In a distant fourth is Kimmel, and nobody gives a fuck about Seth Meyers. So,
But hold on a second. Greg, whatever his name is, he has a late show. I've never heard of this guy.
yeah, well, he replaced Tucker, I think.
Oh, so people are watching Tucker, or he has another show in
He's getting
addition
some
to that.
blowback. But do me a favor, go watch Gutfeld because it is like the most hacky comedy.
I've never even heard of him.
Oh, it's so bad. It's not even trying to be good, I think. It's just so bizarre. But do yourselves a favor, watch 5 minutes of it and then want to kill yourself. Robin, do you even know who these people are? Are these famous over there in the Asia?
I know everyone except the dude on the far left.
Seth Meyers.
Yeah, who is he?
You know what he reminds me of? He looks sweaty, rat-like.
He's sweaty. Yeah, it looks like
Remember that?
One more thing on Fallon. The article did say that he's a coked up lunatic, like he does coke every night and he drinks. And they said one night he was so fucked up that he cut his own finger off. Like he fell in the kitchen and cut his finger off. There's another instance where he crossed the joke off, forgot he crossed the joke off, and then yelled at people for crossing the joke off. So he's a fucking lunatic. Like he's just out of his mind.
He also stepped on my foot, and
he stepped on your foot and didn't apologize.
Yeah, so I knew it. I knew he was a real animal. An animal.
Animal. Fuck them all. They're not funny. Bring back Letterman or Conan or Arsenio
Or us.
or us. Yeah.
That's another one. Chappelle.
Give Dave Chappelle a dash of original. Okay. What else do we got in the news?
There's this one country that never fails to make headlines.
Florida.
First of all, good second guess. I really don't understand first how in 2003 the U.S. invaded Iraq because they had weapons of mass destruction. North Korea, on the other hand, is flaunting their brand new nuclear submarine, and you're doing absolutely nothing about it. Look at this thing.
Yeah.
Well, I actually read this article.
I have great news about this nuclear submarine. I know it looks intimidating, but if you dig deep into the article, it's Soviet era. It's noisy, it's slow, it has limited range, and it's probably not operational. So just so we're all clear on what we're dealing with here.
Did you see the one comment from the guy? And he goes, he was very nice about it, but he was like a military strategist, and he said, doesn't really make sense what they're doing. Nothing they've ever done has made any sense. The country's starving to death, and they're worried about nuclear weapons.
Exactly. And I don't know how much Kim Jong-un likes nuclear submarines, but I know he likes submarine sandwiches. Look at this tiny fat fuck. Look at this annoying little shit. Like, what are we?
Oh man.
Oh boy.
What are all those medals for on the other guy? Have they gone to war with anybody?
That begs the question, what are they fighting? The last time they fought us, but they still made it us. And this is my larger point. You got to finish the job. If we just won the Korean War, we wouldn't be dealing with any of this shit. So lesson to all you kids out there, finish what you start, because otherwise you got this little shit. Jenny Winnie, what if we get Jimmy Fallon on the show? He'll make it less funny than it already is. We can't have that kind of we have a reputation to uphold.
It doesn't even look. It doesn't even look impressive. I got to be honest. Like, it would. You know what would be more impressive to me about this is if it was in the water. That would really blow my mind. You know what would really blow my mind is if everyone was like, "What's going on out here? What's happening?" And then silently, everyone looks around. Oh my God, there's a submarine.
I don't. Yeah. Don't be too concerned about this because theirs may not work, but I looked it up. We have at least 14 nuclear submarines. So we should be okay. We should be if we go to war with North Korea.
How much did it cost to make that? Can we pull that up?
Yes, we'll look it up. But I can tell you this: it took a lot of money away from the people who are starving to death. So everyone here, everyone you can see off in the distance is starving to death. But they made a big deal out of painting a giant Soviet-era submarine black. I don't know, man.
Who do you think he's trying to scare, though? I'm curious. The Philippines?
Philippines.
Or is anyone afraid?
Robin, does this intimidate you?
A little bit. I mean, we don't have nuclear subs, so they got one up on us.
I don't think he does either. He's a clown.
Yeah.
This guy's a clown. Like, literally, say he would have hired somebody to tell him, like, bro, you're a clown. Let me tell you something. You better pray God we don't find oil there.
Exactly. You're going to need some goddamn freedom. This guy's going to need some freedom. Imagine that.
They're going to pave right over the top of you.
I was just going to say, imagine if this guy was your president, but we had Trump, which is exponentially worse. Well, what are you going to do?
He hasn't discovered self-tanner.
No, and he's wearing a tan suit. Remember when Obama wore a tan suit and it was a big deal?
Mm-hmm.
We're all very upset.
What's that? Hip. What's wrong with tan
suit? It was unbecoming of the office of president, and then we elected Donald Trump. So, we don't really live up.
What do you think was more unbecoming? Obama's tan suit or Donald's obsession with wearing all white, tight as possible clothes, see-through white, when he's playing golf?
Well, I don't know if you know this, but he's 6'4" and 230. He's in very good shape.
I thought it was 215. Oh, it's 230 now?
He lost some weight.
He lost 85 pounds in a week.
Heels in his shoes. I don't know if you ever noticed that, but he like wants to have like 2 or 3 inches, so his shoes are like propped up a little.
He has lifts in his shoes.
Barely 6'1".
Donald Trump is wearing high heels.
Yeah, look it up.
So he's fat, orange, bald, wears high heels, and he's the champion of the conservatives. He's trans, essentially.
That's a great point.
Where's why he has to come out with a tanning line?
I know.
Like a bronzer or whatever it's called.
He wears a lot of makeup and he wears high heels. Donald Trump is trans. Holy shit. You heard it here first. All right, what else do we got?
Okay, so I'm very not spiritual as a person, but so I think after death is just the dark void, but grave robbing to me is still one of the scummiest things you could do. This is a cemetery in Oklahoma, and it was vandalized and stripped of heirlooms. You'd imagine there's no one scummy enough to do that, but here we are.
But we're in America.
Yeah, you underestimate us.
You don't know us that well, cowboy.
Prince's cobbler making Donald Trump shoes is fucking hilarious. Jenny, you were funnier than Jimmy Fallon, just so you know. Yeah, so there's
she really is.
Yeah, she is.
Is this the graveyard or is this a
graveyard that was robbed? But this is such a non-news story because even in the article, they're like, we're not sure if people stole it or if just the town cleaned it up. Because here's the thing, like I'm famously an atheist, but I think we can all agree, if you leave something at a gravesite, the dead person can't use it. You know, like, what are you fucking leaving track? What are you leaving a PlayStation 5? They're gonna play in the fucking afterlife? I don't get it.
So they think somebody. I'm sorry. So people were dug up, or just things were taken from the grave sites? I'm so confused.
Things were taken, but they were taken from everything, which suggests to me that the town came around, like, and cleaned up the grave site.
But wouldn't the town know if the town did it, or is the town investigating the town to find out if they did it?
I don't even think they bothered to ask the town. They just ran the story.
Is this Fox? Is this Fox?
No, it's like CNN or something. I know, it's very disappointing.
This happened in Oklahoma, you said?
Oh yeah, where did it happen? Was it Oklahoma?
Yes, Oklahoma.
This is the most exciting thing that's happened in Oklahoma in like 2 years. I mean, you got to give them something.
Somebody's been stealing.
You have to look at the meat of the story, and this is Oklahoma. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
You're right. Someone's like, I stole him fresh flowers from Susie's grave. Get in the car.
That's what's blowing my mind is they must have taken like old dried up flowers. Who's upset about this? You're gonna clean that shit up. I don't know, man. I just don't know. Slow news day in Oklahoma for the past 35 years. Nothing's happening in Oklahoma. All right, what else do we got?
All right, slow news day. Let's talk about AIDS and HIV. Yes. Okay. So a few decades ago, HIV and AIDS was a huge problem. Luckily, now there's modern medicine, and a person with HIV or AIDS can live a very long and healthy life.
Yep.
Unfortunately, in Uganda, you know what HIV and AIDS is also good for? Injecting into livestock for fattening reasons. So they're saying you could contract HIV from HIV med fattened livestock.
Oh, is that what they said? I thought they were saying that you would develop an immunity to HIV medication if you eat a pig that has HIV. So what happened was they were treating pigs that had African swine flu, or what they call pig Ebola, with this AIDS medication. I think what they discovered while trying to cure these pigs is that they were getting fatter quicker. And they're like, holy shit, we've discovered an awesome side effect from AIDS medication. It makes big fat pigs. So then they started injecting chickens with AIDS medication. So now 50% of the pork and a third of the chicken in the country is being pumped full of HIV medication to get them bigger and fatter faster.
Well, this is here?
This is Uganda.
Oh, okay.
But
America's not that bad.
Story.
Wait until the United States hears that if you pump a pig full of, like, we have no scruples. Like, we are not going to give a fuck. So have a BLT, cure your HIV. That's a good tagline.
That is good.
So some of the numbers were interesting.
News.
So I think AIDS was pretty prevalent in Africa, but I think this is good news. 1.4 million Ugandans have AIDS, but that's out of 45 million Ugandans. So it seems under control. I don't know. Yeah. That's all I get on this story. Other than fuck libertarianism, because in the United, like I shit on this all the time. Everyone's like, oh, the fucking market will fix itself. Nuh-uh. The market will put HIV medication in pigs unless you have a governing body that says don't put HIV medication in pigs. It's a crazy world, I guess is my point.
Yeah, unfortunately, we don't have a governing body.
I was just going to say that.
Well, even so, Uganda's National Drug Authority figured this out, but then didn't publish the report for 10 years. And their point was, well, listen, we're in charge of drugs, not food. So someone tells me that they heard this on purpose.
Like the FDA.
Exactly like the FDA.
Like they're all working together.
I know I just said that wait until the United States finds out about this, but I think we know about this. I'm pretty sure our pigs already have AIDS medication in them.
We just haven't been told about it.
Oh, yeah, the FDA is not telling us. Oh, my
Listen, God. Morgan Spurlock's going to come back with a documentary. He's going to redeem himself. Remember the guy that made that movie about the fast food place where he told the truth? And then, like, in the middle of the night when it first took off, he wrote a confession about harassing some lady or something?
Yeah, it's just like that.
Crazy.
It's like putting fluoride in water. Like, this is a good way to prevent, you know what I mean? Americans are so fat, we want to make it. If you want to curb the AIDS epidemic, put the medicine in the pigs. I don't know. It's a crazy world out there. Speaking of crazy worlds, the stories get darker somehow.
Oh, yes. Is this where it gets out of hand? Is this my favorite story? The Z Cups?
Yeah, let's do the Z.
Okay.
He's been wanting to do this for 3 or 4 days. I hate this story.
Yes, I have. Okay. So I'm going to be honest about my ignorance. I thought they only ended at D Cups, but they go all the way to Z. Mm-hmm. So there's this person in Canada, and he's famous for having gigantomastia, is what he calls it. So the problem is this person is a teacher at school, and he keeps changing his identity, and then he's also using that to get other gigs under fake identities. It's just a bit of a problem because the kids are left to think he's deranged.
Yeah. So my mother said we should stop covering trans stories. And I think it's delving into the absurd at this point. So this is a biological woman who was a teacher at a Canadian school who famously had Z cups. Now, everyone assumes that these are prosthetics, but she claims to have, what is it? Say it again.
Gigantomastia.
Gigantomastia, where her breasts just grow out of control. Now, you'll never believe this. So she got in trouble this school year, but then the new school year, she shows up as a male without boobs. So I don't know what to believe from this.
It's rough.
This sounds like a story for Scotland Yard. Maybe they could solve this one.
You're never going to guess.
Pong.
You're never going to guess what website this story came from.
Breitbart.
TMZ.
What's that?
I said TMZ.
ZMZ.
Right, Bart?
Essentially, FoxNews.com
Judge Report.
is hot on the trails. We had a collegiate coach on yesterday that said that the people that influence a child's life the most are the parents, teachers, pastors, and coaches. And if this is I need you to be able to live your life the way you want it. But if you're a teacher, maybe don't come in with big fake Z cups. Is that too much of an ask?
Can I just make another comment, right? I hope I don't get canceled for this. You know what's giving this away? Why people are noticing her? It's the mask. I said it earlier. Stop with the maskness. Instead of madness, it's maskness. Every celebrity, right? They're like, how did they find him? He's wearing the only man wearing a mask.
Yeah. Well, she took your advice because look.
Well,
she's
you know
not.
what? I mean, when you see someone in the car with a mask on, you just got to think to yourself, just stay in there long enough till it ends.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Makes me want to give them the plastic bag challenge. How long can you stay with the plastic bag around your head?
Well, you know what? The schools gotta hire them because they pay nothing. Nobody wants to be a teacher, so that's why you got guys like this in the school system.
That's a good point. And then you can't fire them because they're in the teachers union. So it's slightly problematic. I mean, again, do whatever you want to do, but you can't have big why are you wearing fake breasts to your teacher? What do you do?
There's a place in New York that this would really take off, Coney Island.
No, that's perfect. Or any strip club in the United States, I think you would, get a few dollar bills. I don't think whatever.
I don't know if you have to take that show to the school. You know what was baffling to me? Can I just make a statement?
Yes.
Is that when I was younger, school was a place I did not enjoy. But I'll tell you what I never thought about. I didn't enjoy it because I had to do some learning. And I wanted to play with my friends and not do any learning. Yeah. Now it seems that people are like, let's do some devious acts at the school. Right? When did the school become the place to do everything? Yeah, there's got to be another spot.
One would think, right? If you want to wear big fake Z cups, there's plenty of other places.
Go to the mall.
The mall. You would kill it at the mall.
Right?
Mm-hmm. Church. You can go to church. But,
church.
Yeah. Counseling. We should go counseling. If it occurs to you that you want to walk around in public with big fake Z cups, go see a doctor for Christ's sakes.
Or go to a bar and put them on the counter.
That would be something.
I'd buy you a drink and say, what's going on in here?
We should move on.
Okay. What do you think? This is going to cancel us? Okay.
Yes. Okay. Next story. A real story for once. So we know China for a very, very long time has had the longest wonder of the world, the Great Wall of China. And it's survived tests of hundreds of years of dynasties, invasions from characters like Genghis Khan. Today, the walls were breached by Mr. Zhang and Wang, who made a shortcut in the wall with an excavator because it was easier to access their construction site.
Yeah, so one of the wonders of the world, thing you can see from space, evidently. This was a great line. This is the opening line. China's Great Wall has been pierced by Genghis Khan, the Manchus, and now allegedly a couple of construction workers named Zheng and Wang who wanted a shortcut. So these two construction workers were tired of going around the Great Wall of China, which I think makes sense. In terms of commutes, that has to be pretty shitty. So they got an excavator and blew a hole in the side of the wall. Oh, boy.
Now, here's the real challenge. I don't think we're seeing this as a marketing opportunity. Can they fix it and they're in construction? I mean, this is the ultimate test.
Right. Maybe they just temporarily blew through it, and when they're done with the job, they're going to fix it up. No, that's a good point.
And you know what else you got to say? This wall got wang zanged. Right?
To be fair, they blew a hole in the youngest part of the wall, which is only 2,000 years. Most of it was from the 1600s. So,
that's not a felony.
Oh, baby. The Chinese government is going to fuck them up.
Maybe that's why Xi Jinping's not going to be a G20. He's killing these two.
Yeah. Yesterday we covered a story where in China now, if you wear clothes that offend the culture, that you get a $680 fine and 15 days in jail. So if you blow a hole in the fucking Great Wall, there's going to be hell to pay.
And where does 680 come from? Maybe 700, 650.
Well, the 680 was the trend. It's like an even number. Whatever
it's
the
5,000 yuan. Yeah.
5,000 yuan, $680. So I do the math for the American audience.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
All right, listen, we did the half hour. We covered the news. You know what that means. It's time to talk about the guest. So welcome. Thank you for being here. I'm sorry that we exposed you to big fake Z cups and you might get You're on our last show because we're gonna get canceled. But tell us about HyperSpeed, man. What's I know what it's about, but because I did a deep dive into you last night, not sexually, on the internet. That sounds worse. But go ahead, you go now.
Absolutely.
Your turn.
I came from a background of sports coaching, private sector wellness, a little bit of medicine, and really just personalized training. Recognize that we're heading towards the fourth industrial revolution, and that's very data centric. And so, there's over, I would say, 500,000 health and wellness facilities throughout the country. Obviously, an issue within the healthcare system. So, trying to create a solution to where people can get access to key health information and then utilize that as a tool to understand what they got to do to improve their health, to share it with their health professional, and to have an understanding of what they need to do on a day-to-day basis to just improve their health relative to where they're at. So how Hyperspeed really started was me initially working as a coach in a wellness center, and we were using this device called the InBody machine. And the InBody machine is used in probably all over the world, and facilities all throughout America specifically. And it allows you to, it's like a souped up scale. It's almost like a medical grade device where you can say like your body fat percentage, visceral fat levels, your metabolic rate, your hydration levels. If you have the same amount of muscle mass in your right arm and left arm, which is indicative of there's like an issue in the past, if there's an injury or any asymmetry in the body. So that's a key data point. And that was in a wellness center that I was working at. So I recognized if everybody were to step on this and they were to know like where they're really at, this would guide them a lot quicker. And then also take into account like wearable devices, like an Apple Watch or like a Whoop band. And like it tells you how many hours you slept, how many calories you burned, what your resting heart rate was. But like that doesn't know what you do for work. It's also just taking into account like averages and baselines relative to like what that software has. And also like coaches and trainers, when they're not using this information that you're gathering to then help coach you and understand you a little better and hold you accountable. Like if you're saying, hey, I trained yesterday and not when I wasn't with the trainer, and you only burned 150 calories, well, you didn't do jack shit. Right. And so the coach needs a mechanism to hold you accountable, or you're just wasting your money with the trainer. So what I want to do is sort of marry all these data sources together and create a system. So really with the HyperSpeed system,
that's smart.
Advanced assessment, which is found on our website, and anybody could take it. And it just contextualizes, this is what you do for work. This is my medical history. This is the highest level of sports I played. This is the impact work had on my life. This is how many times I'm active a week. And then it's going to give you a score. And it's going to create different sub-scores of like, is work-life balance the issue? Do you have some health risk factors that are the issue? What's your physical fitness levels? And those sub-scores are our baseline. And that data source comes in. And then when you can connect your wearable, and we're compatible with 7 different devices. So we're able to take the data that comes from your wearable and say, because you do this for work, and these are your demands, and you're sleeping this amount, this is what you're at risk of. And if you do these 3 things right now, these will improve your metrics and help you improve your quality of life. So that's our system for the general public. But when we go to facilities that have an InBody, we take all 3 data sources for the clients that have wearables. And now we have a whole metric system where we created proprietary metrics like muscle balance score or like wellness score, taking into account like work-life balance with like biometrics. And all these subscores tell a story for you, but also let you know where your averages are relative to your age and gender. So if you have a resting heart rate of like 52, you're in the 100 percentile. So it's not like, well, what does this mean? You see 100 next to that score, that's a good thing. And so our system is a personalized insight machine. The more data you feed it, and we're going to continue to add more technologies to it, the more we're going to know about you. And then we have an integration with Open API. So it's a machine learning system. So it's going to spit out an output, giving you context as to what you need to do right now. But the more people that come into our system, based on what they do for work, age, and gender, where they're located, we're building historical records where we can now reference, because this is where you're at, do this. And so our system continues to learn. It's going to ultimately turn into like an artificial intelligence machine. So we sell this to gyms. We're in 3 gyms right now. We've only been open for about 3 months. We also conduct health screening events, whether we go to a company on behalf of like employee benefits. So like people like we'll sell it to a whole company. They'll come in, they'll do an assessment, they'll step on our in-body, they'll do a blood pressure reading. And if they have a device we can connect in, they're going to get a personalized report on the spot. And we also sell it like as a one-off to coaches. And so our system has a lot of different ways it can be affected. We're more so testing our gym model right now and then doing a lot of health events. And we've conducted research all throughout Las Vegas, running these events at park and rec centers and YMCAs. We've done a couple companies here in the Boston area, but more so than anything, I call this like a public health information system. And so the more data that we gather, the more we're going to be able to solve problems, whether we want to focus on early onset of Alzheimer's. How's the retired population acting? Are there issues that are prevalent among 45 plus year old women? And if so, why? And it's just feeding the system to understand this, but also providing this screening service, which I go to myself, have an event tomorrow where it's saying, here, check out all these different elements between blood pressure, body comp, and health risk, and just see where you're at. Now, it's about anywhere between a $50 to $100 service, and you can get it right there on the spot. That's what I would say HyperSpeed is in a nutshell, is a public health information system. It is continuing to grow.
So it reads where you are, and then it puts you against the general population in a whole bunch of different metrics. Does it then, does your coach or the system tell you what you need to do to get where you want to be?
Yeah, so it gives you 3 positives. So, we do give positive reinforcement. We tell you 3 positives, regardless.
Positive, you're really good at eating donuts. Huh?
Yeah.
Not
bad. We say 3 health risk factors. So we don't call them negative. It's just saying you should be concerned about this. And then 3 recommendations that basically say, because of these variables, do this, this, and this will get you healthier now. We're not saying like, go start a workout program, go hire a coach. Just like go on a walk 4 days a week for 20 minutes. And so we take these things all into account. So it's giving them an actionable insight that they actually understand. We take complex data and we make it easy to understand.
Make it easy. I was going to say, don't drink 2 bottles of bourbon tonight, Eric.
I'm going to say, I'm out. I don't want any part of this. I don't need a bracelet telling me I'm an alcoholic. I know I'm an alcoholic. But you know what would be fun if you gamified working out to the person. Like if I could be in the top % of Americans, if you could say, listen, you suck, but if you do this, you're going to be better than 90% of the population. I'd be totally into that.
So it's a gamified system, actually. So yeah, what your health rating is, you're getting like a rating, like a Madden rating. Now we don't market that
like
much.
Madden rating.
Yeah, I don't market that as the key component because we're more so selling to corp right now, and it overwhelms people. It's not particularly inclusive. So we're not sure how frequently we're going to share that. But in a gym setting, a coach can opt to say, show the performance rating. And so like how you sleep, how many calories you burn, your resting heart rate, your average amount of steps. If you display improvement in your muscle mass, or you're like, the first thing we ask is, what is your goal? Lose weight, build muscle, improve performance, or recover from an injury. Our system will detect where you're at relative to what your goal is. And then how your behavior is, which is coming from the device, will then create fluctuation within your rating. Every time you weigh in, that creates fluctuation within your rating. So that rating is changing every single day. So it creates this world where it's you versus you, and you can actually keep score.
Interesting. Can I white label this, and can I call the Madden rating your fuckability score?
You actually could. You could if you wanted to.
Okay, I'm thinking about it. So that's fascinating. Your story too. So when we were back in the green room, you were prolific. You do a lot of videos. You're out there, which is the same sort of thing that we're trying to do, is become famous. Because if you're famous, it's easier to sell stuff. You have a very interesting story. You wanted to go into the NFL, but you blew your knee out 3 times.
Yeah,
that is a lot of times to blow your knee out.
For sure. Well, I'm going to preface with, I was 5'0", 180 pounds. I ran a 4.5 40, and I had pretty good hands and had all the combine metrics. But I was a bad student in high school, so boom, screwed up there. Couldn't get a Division I scholarship. Had to go to a JUCO, and that's where all the bad guys go, if you will. You ever seen like Last Chance U, or like you think about like Urban Meyer's Florida team? My team had some guys that got into some trouble quite a bit. Now we won a bowl game, had some guys that played in the NFL. Let's make long story short, I didn't really play that much there. So ended up, didn't want to walk on, want to be a big fish in a small pond. Ended up going to a very large D3 school that was competitive and had a chance to win national championship every year. Unfortunately, got turf toe, didn't really play much there. Transferred to another school to be closer to family. Blew my knee out. And the big thing for an undersized guy like myself is that I always have to prove myself in practice, which is kind of like I started playing at the age of 7, knew the game really well like a coach, and almost knew more than my coaches at times. Yeah. And so it became difficult. I felt like I was in a chess match with the coach. And then, if I don't have the average, speed or like the height, I'm overlooked. So I blew my knee out 3 times in practices. Which started creating like an animosity and like a anti-establishment sort of mindset for me. So that's where I was just like, I'm going to do this on my own. And I'm also out to prove that like this football world, like these coaches don't necessarily get it. Yeah. So that created this fire where I wanted to be a coach. And I had a lot of experience. I was coaching at the age of 20, was a high school coordinator at 22, was a full-time receiver coach as a graduate assistant at 24. Then started interviewing for head coaching jobs and nobody would hire me. So I got kind of irritated and impatient with that. So I went from like player to coach really, really quickly. Next thing I know, I moved around 3-4 times from like 24 to 28, kind of bouncing between high school, college, found myself at St. Thomas Aquinas, which is probably the premier high school for football in America. Like there's 70 plus guys in the NFL there. And, I was a finalist for an NFL job 2 years in a row, 1 year with the Seahawks, 1 year with the Dolphins, and didn't get it. And at that point, from like my injuries to moving around, not getting a head coaching job, I was just like, screw this. I got an MBA. I have an entrepreneurial spirit. I have a lot of work experience because when I blew my knee out, I had nothing to do in the summertime. So I started getting internships at physical therapy clinics and sports performance facilities. I rehabilitated myself twice. I was actively a college student training NFL players and college athletes at one point in time. So I had a ton of experience. So I was 27, but I was really like 34, 35. And I would say that my injuries and then how sour my experience was as a college coach gave me the confidence and then the business acumen to even believe I can start a company, to even sit here and talk about data and have this very large vision and actually believe it's possible. So I'd say that it's been a blessing, to be honest with you. I wouldn't trade my experience for the world, although I hate the football community.
Yeah. Well, listen, man, if your goal is the NFL, you can certainly make it as an entrepreneur. Like you were aiming high right out of the fucking gate.
Yeah, for sure.
Were you a running back at 5 feet? Is that?
I was 5'6".
Yeah, he's at 5 foot. My goodness.
I was a running back, but I actually played slot receiver. But unfortunately, back in the early 2010s, they weren't throwing the ball around like that, and so like I wasn't able to really get the ball out in space. Unfortunately, so like I was a little bit like ahead of my time. I was like a Wes Welker type. But I was ahead of my time. They weren't throwing the ball like they are now. And so that definitely.
Who's your favorite team now? Can I ask?
I don't have a favorite team, and I know football pretty well. So I just evaluate the game. I like coaches, but I think there's a lot of incompetent coaches.
Who's the best coach?
Who do you think the best coach is besides Bill Belichick?
Well, obviously Bill Belichick, undoubtedly, but I'm going to go with Bill Belichick, Andy Reid, Pete Carroll, Kyle Shanahan, Sean McVay. Those are the 5 best coaches in football right now, undoubtedly. That's a good lineup. Oh, and then Mike Tomlin as well. But like longevity, how their organizations are tight run. How they've been able to sustain success. They have a philosophy. They can reshuffle players. And a lot of these concepts that I'm talking about, I learned way more being a football coach and studying coaches than I did getting an MBA. Just understanding like how to build your team, how to manage and lead people, how to talk to grown men, which a lot of coaches don't know how to do. These are the things that, lead to successful organizations. And again, an NFL team, the NFL is basically a monopoly. You got 53 millionaire alpha males on a team. Leading them is very, very difficult. So being an NFL head coach is probably one of the hardest jobs in the world. My whole life was in preparation from a failed player to try to be an NFL head coach. So I find the entrepreneur world, while obviously building technology is difficult, all the stuff that comes with it, I don't find that difficult because I've already been in highly stressful environments.
Yeah. What's interesting too about what you do
That makes
is, so I like I said, I did a deep dive. I watched your little your 20-minute biography thing on YouTube too. So you're a high performer, right? You wake up early, you meditate, you're one of these your diet's good, you're obviously in good shape. So you have a medical device company. But then part of your thing in these videos is for the average American who's fat. Like we're 64% of us are obese. So you like take a walk. So you're operating up here, but you recognize that most of your clientele probably hasn't left the house in 10 years, right?
Yeah.
So that's going to be tough.
That's smart.
Yeah.
There's a lot of these. Yeah. Like if you read like David Goggins, for example, right? He's like, run 4 miles. They're not always going to go off the couch and run 4 miles.
Yeah.
You know
How about I walk 4 steps?
Yeah.
So,
It's the first step.
I haven't actually shared this before, but I operate like a high performer. I come from a military family, and so that set the standard for me. However, throughout my post-coaching career, the last 4 or 5 years, I've been homeless twice. I've been in really shitty environments, definitely abused alcohol at times as well. Just been in some bad spots. I've been all over the country. I've worked some pretty unique jobs, like an Amazon factory, did political canvassing, was delivering newspapers at one point. I had to get the money coming in while I was doing this. And so I've basically been on like the poverty line. And so where like I operate like this, I've tried to live my life in a way where I'm kind of setting the example for the average person, saying, hey, you cannot make shit and you can have pretty poor conditions and be in a bad environment around bad people. And I've had a lot of lows. Now I know better, but it was almost through simulating, being in like this bad environment and being in the lowest states and seeing all these different emotions did I recognize, okay, like this is what the average American actually feels like. And so where I do business with a lot of like corporations and I'm selling to coaches that are then giving this system to the masses, I feel like on an individual level, I really understand what the American experience looks like. And so it allows me to display, my humility and be very, very relatable. So it's like, I sort of have like this high performance mindset, but I know what the bottom feels like for sure. And I try to, on a human level, whenever I talk to people, just share that as common as possible. So I definitely know both sides beyond my lifestyle, and I'm human as well. I like junk food, I like alcohol, I like to go out, I like to do all those things, but I think that there's a standard, and I think there's a baseline that I think we can all achieve.
Yeah, I think it's tough. I think if you look, we talked about this a little bit in the green room, but like Jeff Bezos, when he gets rich, he gets jacked. Dave Chappelle, when he got really famous, he got jacked. Gary Vaynerchuk. It's like being in shape is almost a luxury in the modern American lifestyle. Like last night, I went to the gym at 9:30 at night because I have fucking a job and I have kids and I got to feed them and pick them up. Like, when do you go? And that's really hard because at 9:30, I want to be drunk. But like life is very hard. And unfortunately, I think health is one of the easiest things to ignore. It's one of the funnest things to ignore too. It's like you can ignore other shit and it's not as fun. Don't pay your bills, you lose your house.
It's
Ignore
also
your health.
something that doesn't catch up with you as quickly.
Exactly. So it's hard, man.
Yeah.
I would say though, it's all about figuring out a system that works for you. It's like, for one, having a 6-pack is not a big deal because like you got to just do like a bunch of like abs to like have.
No, that's Robin. He's got an 8-pack.
It's really about what are the rigors of your life? What does your life demand? And just put yourself in position to be able to do that and sustain it. And so like walking may be your primary mode of exercise. Like a gym membership, that's irrelevant. Like you can do push-ups every single day in your house. You can find 20 minutes to go on like an elliptical. Like it's just figuring out what do you enjoy doing? I hate lifting weights. I lifted weights from the age of 13 to 25 all the time. I can't stand lifting weights. I play basketball and run now. But like really, if you could just be active for 30 to 45 minutes a day, 3 to 4 days a week, that's all you need to do. And just build a routine doing that. That's what I say to people, and not going to the gym and doing all this extra stuff. That's all a facade. I think that the American health and fitness industry is a bunch of bullshit because fitness is not supposed to be some sort of luxury item. It's like a basic activity that everyone has access to in life. I bet coaches listening at home are like, you're revealing the secret. You're revealing the secret. Like weight loss is not this magical recipe. It's like activity. Do people need guidance and direction? Absolutely. And do people who have more discretionary income, can they pay for these services? Yeah, sure. But let's not act like health and fitness is like this end all be all. And when economic times get tough, what's the first thing people are going to cut? These health and fitness expenses. So you're by no means a staple. Like people need to get that understood.
Yeah, no, that's true. It is presented like like a luxury. And I think it is for a lot of people. I don't know, man. Life is hard.
Well, I mean, for a lot of these fitness influencers, it's always in their benefit to make fitness a lot more complicated than it really is. Which is why I think your device is quite revolutionary. Also, because a lot of these people are afraid to talk to coaches, afraid to, like, I'm 25, I'm still afraid to like go to the doctors by myself. So like, if there was just this machine that I could like go to by myself and tell me everything that's wrong with me, all the things I need to do, fucking great, I would do it.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
We try to keep it simple, and we also don't overload people and tell them like they're gonna die.
20 minutes to live.
Although
say this,
fear
though,
tactics does work.
Yeah, for sure. All depends on who you're selling to, though, right? They always say it's either fear or greed. That's what's going to drive a purchase. But as it comes to training, like one thing that really upsets me, why I built this tool, is that a coach that's like a certified strength conditioning specialist called a CSCS, that's like the gold standard of being a coach. And you can't even get that without a bachelor's degree. There are a lot of coaches that have master's degrees out there that have trained Navy SEALs and work with pro athletes or in that strength and conditioning college setting. Those are the best of the best. The general public doesn't understand that. Like, yeah, anybody can get a certification and, you know, go work at an LA Fitness or say, hey, I'm a fitness trainer. But like, do they really know their stuff? This is a pretty high level industry, actually. And the the high level coaches are really, really good. The general public doesn't know how to differentiate what's good and what's not. And it's so scientifically driven. And that's what upsets me, is that people don't want to dive into the science, because if the general public was educated on the science, then they would understand how to spend their money and it would probably matter a lot more to them. But really now, which coaching is such an intimate service, it's like they're just trying to get $1 off of you. Like it's become the one industry where there's like no barrier to entry, so anybody can be a trainer. That's why all these things are put on like this, you know, mainstream scale. And I think that's why it's so saturated. And the irony in that is that like there's so many trainers out there, but there's more obese people than ever. So are we getting the job done?
Right. That's the thing. Like, in no time in American history, more people belong to gyms, and at no time have we been more fat. You know, it's like one of those really weird things. I do like you said one of these things, because I think what we do, we wanted to do a show every day to get at bats. So we just recognize like sort of getting 1% better every day. But you said this thing, if you can take steps, you can form habits, and habits get results. I think you just have to stick with something all the time, right? Even if it's just walking, you have to do fucking something.
That's it, man. Yeah. And I think the biggest issue now is like with social media and just like, there's the 24-hour news cycle. It's like the next thing. You're always comparing. And so like nobody can ever just step forward, do one thing and just build a habit out of doing it. It's always like this comparison game. It's like, even like the job market, people change jobs so frequently, move on to the next girl. Like we just want the next thing. Like I promise anybody, if you do one thing for what, like, I'd say 21 days to begin with, but if you do one thing for 2 or 3 years, I promise you're going to get decent at it.
Oh yeah. And you're going to be better than almost everyone in the world, because nobody does that shit.
For sure.
Here's the thing. We had a coach on yesterday. I was so inspired. Listening to you last night. You said coaches are really good at saying shit that makes you want to go like do tackling drills and stuff. But you made an excellent point, which is if you were an athlete and then you move on to normal life, there's no game day in business, right? Like there's no one. It's not like we're going to have our fucking rival game on Saturday, you get jacked up for it. Every day is just sort of like a meaningless practice, which is weird, right? You have to kind of celebrate the wins and the losses within a day. But yeah, man, wouldn't it be great if we had a business Super Bowl?
For sure. I think one thing I recognize with like human behavior is that like we love pressure. And we don't tend to do things until we have to. It's like desperation leads to innovation. Even with them myself, I've been at my business for a while, but now it's like I've been at it for a while. Like I need to get a return. Like I need to make $1 now. Like this is my only source of income. And so like now I stopped drinking. Like now I'm up at 4:30 every day. Like, yeah, I can do these things some of the time and I'm on my game, but I haven't lived it. Now it's like I have no other option. And like that's the pressure that I want. And so what I find we have to do is create these parameters where I have to simulate pressure, where it's like life or death, and I'll rise every time. So I love that. It's just like putting yourself in difficult situations. But if you don't play a sport, you don't do military, or like you have never been in a difficult situation, that adversity or like that pressure will scare you.
Yeah. It could break you, right?
Yeah, for sure.
You're pretty extreme. Did you say in one of the videos you have an Amazon tattoo?
Yeah, I have an Amazon tattoo on my leg, just because it's a reminder of again, probably one of the lowest points in my life, but also allowed me to make about 12 grand during the pandemic. So I was getting time and a half working the overnight shift. And I don't think I'd be starting my business if it wasn't for that. But I worked with so many single moms and like so many people that had nothing, and that was like their life. And so that was a symbolic moment for me, for sure.
Damn, man, you were intense. I
like it.
So now,
and I got to tell you, we love Amazon.
Oh, I can't get enough of Amazon.
Although it's small businesses, it's a hell of an effective model. And I will say this: people get upset at Amazon as they're the big guy, but Amazon wouldn't exist if small businesses were more effective. So let's be real about the situation.
That's right. That's right.
You work at the you're at the British International School of Boston right now as well.
Yeah,
I was unaware that there was a British International School. Do we let them in after the massacre and the Tea Party and everything?
It's funny. Admissions talks about that because they have British curriculum, and so what's being taught in the school, the format, secondary school, primary school, it's very, very different. And there's a lot of very wealthy parents that don't want their kids going to the public school system. And this school is definitely a precursor for going to some of the best schools in the world. Wow. And so it's just a really different environment. And because I don't coach sports anymore, it allows me to stay in the school system, connect with the next generation, but also be like low stress and do something that I like. And so I would never work in the American school system ever again. So it's the closest thing and it's convenient. So I enjoy it.
Are there a lot of British kids in the British International School?
It's like 80% of non-American kids. Yeah.
I would pay anything to watch you try to teach British people American football. I
wouldn't even bother. I wouldn't even attempt to. So what's funny about that is that the school, for whatever reason, is having this push to be like good at athletics. And
it's not what the British do. It's not what the British do. They colonize and they make shitty food, but they do not play sports.
Let's do what we're good at here. I didn't come here to make you guys better at sports. I just came here to enjoy the environment and teach some PE a couple days a week.
Yeah.
Can we talk about football real quick? You're obviously a football fan. Can we talk about the NFL with the last 3 minutes?
Yeah,
what's your Super Bowl prediction?
I'm gonna go with Ravens, Eagles, but I have the Cowboys as I think Cowboys maybe might make the leap, and I have the Saints as a dark horse, and I do like the Jets on the AFC.
There it is.
I think that the Ravens are gonna come out of the AFC. That's what I'm gonna lock on. The NFC to be determined, but I think that Lamar Jackson, the Ravens are gonna come over the hump this year.
I mean, yeah, they have to eventually, right?
Can I make a prediction? A prediction? Well, I make a hope. My hope is that the Jets win more games than the Patriots.
Oh,
I think you're pretty. I think it might be on
the best roster in football. The Jets are phenomenal. This should be a good year for them.
My worry is Aaron Rodgers.
I know. I hope he shits the bed. Like, I just think he's too old.
No. My concern is that he's going to get. My concern is he gets injured. That's my only concern.
They won games with Zach Wilson, man. And then who's their backup? They got the backup. They got the guy from the Dolphins.
Oh yeah.
Did they? Oh yeah, they did. You're right. They're right. Yeah.
That's the problem with the Patriots this year is we have the worst quarterback in the division, and usually that doesn't work out for you. So,
but you still got Bill Belichick and a phenomenal defense, so you got a shot.
I just wish
we had Tom. Well, Tom's free.
He used to be very good.
Between selling Hertz rental cars and Delta airline tickets and whatever else he's involved in, he might be able to throw a couple for you.
Just come in the second half. You don't have to play the whole game. Just the second half.
Yeah.
Robin, what's your Super Bowl prediction? You got it?
I have no,
he said the Yankees.
The Yankees versus
football,
the Indians.
Yes. Does football have a retirement age?
Not a mandated one. Or Brady would have been gone 15 years ago.
It just makes sense, though, that you'd get off after 40.
Oddly enough, neither do we in the government, but here we are.
The average career is less than 3 years, though. So that puts in perspective how impressive Tom Brady's career is.
Oh, I know. It's unbelievable, isn't it? It's weird, too, that Brady's gone, Manning's gone, Roethlisberger's gone, Breeze is gone, like everyone I grew up with. I just know I'm close to death now because once Aaron Rodgers is gone, it's like that was it.
Jay Cutler's gone.
Jay Cutler. Cigarette dangling out of his mouth. Fucking Jay Cutler. That's a good point about the Ravens, though, because Jr. Everyone thinks the Steelers are going to be good, but I don't get that at all. I have zero confidence in the Steelers.
Who's their quarterback?
Kenny Pickett.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know who that is.
Oh shit, we only have a minute left. Antone, do you want to? All right, so this is the website. Do you want to push anything while we're here? Do you want to? What can people do if they want to get this thing on their wearables?
Yeah, absolutely. They could take our assessment, and it's 19 questions. It's pretty simple. Then they can connect their wearable. We're currently compatible with Whoop, Google, Fitbit, Garmin, and BioStrap. We're gonna have an Apple Health integration in about 2-3 weeks here. Most certainly right now we're focused on is like health events and organizations. If you have a business that you think that this would be a good benefit for, we can also quantify if like you have a wellness program and if you're actually getting results, and then we can actually evaluate if a workplace is healthy or not. But we're at events all throughout the state right now, and we're basically just trying to get ourselves out there as frequently as possible, but also every single person that takes an assessment and collects our wearable and connects their wearable, our system's learning more about them. We're actually going to be able to help more people. So really just trying to spread awareness as frequently as possible, whether an organization or an individual, we have a solution for you.
Beautiful. All right, America, get out there, take an assessment, get less fat. I mean, come on. We're embarrassing at this point. All right, that's the hour. We're going to get cut off. Enjoy the weekend, the NFL official first weekend of the season. So that's pretty exciting. I know Robin's pumped up about this. Antone, thanks for being on. We'll see you Monday. Bye, America.
Fine.
You can stick around. Don't log off. Hold on. We'll do a little